Hey everybody, for today's house hack, I want to spend a little time showing you about a tool hack, because inevitably you're going to find yourself on a project where even though you might have the right tool, it's the perfect tool for the job, you find that because of the situation you're in, trying to get into a tight spot, you might need to modify your tool. Maybe it's too big, too small, too short, maybe you need to have a little bit of an angle on it. So I'm going to spend some time walking through that with you, because I've got a project we're working on where the tool that I purchased, which is a fantastic tool, it just isn't able to get into the spot that I needed to get into. So I'm going to show you how, depending upon the materials the tool's made out of, wood, metal, plastics, which kind of tools we use to hack the tools, and sit down and show you how we do it. So let me grab my tools and we'll sit down at the bench and start working on a tool. This is the tool that we want to spend some time working on today. See if we can hack it to be able to fit into the spaces I need it to fit into. This is a seam roller, and the application that I'm using it in for this project is to weld some of the seams of the TPO that we use on the balcony. And the difficulty with the tool in its current shape is that the wooden handle, as you can see here, is just a little bit larger than the metal body. And so unfortunately, the spot that I need to get into is really small. And so when I try to squeeze in there, there's just too much wood on the handle. And so I kind of tried to consider, do I want to use a vise? Do I want to use a multi-tool? Do I want to use a grinder? Do I want to use a belt sander? And I think for this project, since it's really just modifying the wooden handle, I think if we use a jigsaw and we kind of cut down the sides of the handle and then use a belt sander at the end to finish it off, I think it'll give us a pretty good reduced size handle, and something that's going to be able to get into those tight spots. I've got the seam roller in the vise, and I've got my jigsaw. So I'm going to position the jigsaw alongside the handle and then just try to cut it straight to match the same diameter as the metal housing right here. I've got this side of the seam roller roughly finished, so I'm just going to flip it over and then clamp it down in the vise, and then continue working the tool with the jigsaw on this side. So right here I've pretty much achieved roughly the shape that I had in mind by using the jigsaw. I was trying to achieve the wooden handle to be approximately the same diameter as the metal caps at either end, and I think roughly I've achieved that. So next I'm going to use the belt sander, and we're going to bring it down all the way and make it nice and smooth. Here is our almost finished product using the belt sander. It's got it smoothed really nicely, and the diameter of the wood handle is pretty similar to the metal casing. So from here, the final step is I'm just going to go grab some poly stain and make it look really nice and pretty, like something you'd actually buy in the store. This is my stain box. Pretty much what I have in it is everything related to staining and finishing or protecting or caring for any of your wood projects, cabinets, cupboards, furniture, anything of that nature. So I've got some different types of applicators that I use, and then sometimes the lint-free cloths such as this or the microfibers to apply the stain. And also in the stain box I've got an assortment of different stains, and I do have some polyurethane and then some of the combination stain and poly, which kind of allows you to apply it in one step. And I've got some beeswax products and restoration products, and for getting into some tighter areas I have tighter sanding tips and brushes, and also have different grades of sandpaper. So what I'm going to do for this project is, I think I like this cognac colored stain in poly, so I'm just going to give that a shake for a little bit, and then we'll open it up and apply some stain. I'm going to go ahead and put on one of these latex gloves just because I don't really want to walk around with stain on my hand for the rest of the day. And so we're just going to go ahead and open this up, take a look at it. It's been sitting around for a while, shouldn't be dried out. It sounded pretty good when I shook it, and so it looks all right. So I'm just going to dip this sponge brush, which I find when using the poly stains works pretty well. If I'm using an actual oil stain, then I'd use a microfiber and rub it in, but poly stain is applied more like paint, I would say. And so we just brush it on like this, and what's kind of neat and fun about it is that it has all of your stain and your polyurethane in one. So it's not doesn't take multiple steps. And this one is actually technically water-based, so even if I did get some on me, it would wash off pretty well. So I'm going to try to get one really nice coat on here, and then just let that sit. Hey everybody, we're wrapping up the tool hack project that we started a little bit ago, where we modified this seam roller by reducing some of the wood from the handle so that we can more easily get it into this really tight spot that we're in the process of TPO welding. So let's turn the welder on and see how it performs. We're doing some TPO welding right now, and we're using the modified tool from a prior segment that we hacked by reducing the diameter of the handle. And as you can see now, by reducing it, it does now fit below the column plinth. And so by using our TPO welder, which is set at 650 degrees Fahrenheit, we can now begin the welding process and make these welds. And then once we have these completed, we can just continue around the plinth. And so this is just a kind of a really cool example of how just going ahead and modifying the handle a little bit can now make a situation that was pretty much impossible now something that you can take care of and have fun with. Thanks for joining me for this segment of House Hacks. I'm glad we got to do a little tool hacking today. I did want to mention in conclusion that I wouldn't recommend hacking a tool that is highly valuable to you or prized, or if it's your grandpappy's tool from the 1900s. The piece that I have here today, the seam roller, it probably cost me like between $5 and $7. So if I make a mistake on it, I can easily repurchase it and then just try again. So have fun.